Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Carr Report wherever you get your podcast. You're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media, A-M-P-I-R-E. Always much appreciated when you tune in. And don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have a story up now about Jayden Daniels playing in the preseason opener against the New York Jets next Saturday. His thoughts on facing the Jets and the challenge that it'll provide him, because that is a very good defense. So now there was some discussion. We found this out this morning. Like, this is not a surprise at all that he's going to end up playing, because this is, if you're having a competition, you don't sit one guy unless you're going to name him the starter, and unless really he's an established veteran. And he is, at this point, he's neither. But Dan Quinn said this morning before practice that Daniels would play, and then we talked to Daniels after practice about it. So I have a story up now on ESPN.com about that. And again, just to finish that, I know there was some people, I know Joe Theismann said he shouldn't play. That I don't think was ever really going to be an option here. So, they want him to get the reps. And I know in talking to some of the veteran players, what they like is that Daniels is not coming in here with this big head, like he is above something, that he's above earning this job or playing in the preseason or anything like that. And if you don't play him in the preseason opener, what do you tell Terry McLaurin? You sitting him too. And because if you are going to sit Daniels, then you better sit a lot of veterans who are going to say, like, wait a minute, this guy hasn't played in the NFL and he's not playing. What about me? And I know the position. I know it's the most important position, but they want to get him as much experience as possible to get him ready for the season opener. That's the goal here. So, the joint practice on Thursday is going to be a bigger deal, but you can then go through a game operation. Like, you can work on situational football in the joint practice, but for a rookie, they're going to want to go through a lot of that situation, not the situation, but the game management aspect. And that's not just like clock and all that, but like the game operation, dealing with officials, the headset during game, all that stuff is going to help. So to help with some of that, and not just for Daniels, but for all the young players, but anybody in general, Dan Quinn has been very big. In fact, Saturday, what they did is they went over all the, they didn't have a full practice. It was a kind of a walkthrough, but it was more of a game-like situation walkthrough. So they could go through, like, in a game, this is what it would be like. These are the things that can arise that you have to deal with. So you're not, in their minds, hopefully not dealing with it for the first time, September 8th against Tampa Bay. So anyways, he's going to play. Don't know how much, don't know if he's going to start or not. I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't. I mean, he's been the first guy out there with the ones in the 11-on-11 work the last couple practices. And I don't know why you would put him behind anything but your best line and have him with the best talent around him, because let's face it, he's the guy who's going to play. This isn't a even situation here. This is this kid is that Daniels is the future. That he's the guy you want in there. That he needs to be as prepared as anything. So put him behind the best group. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't start, but it has not been stated for sure at this point. Anyway, and I'm going to get into more of the practice up in Daniels in a minute, but just a couple other things, just some, the last practice open to fans is Tuesday. They do not have they do not have a full practice Monday. It's going to be more of a walkthrough situation. It's getting, and they're no full practice on Monday or Wednesday or Friday, because that's the day before a game. Anyways, and then also from some roster moves, Washington cut cornerback Christian Holmes, signed defensive tackle Taylor Stallworth, a 7-year vet, and a lot of it is about depth, right? You have Johnny Newton, who Quinn said that, listen, this goes back to his foot injury. So he practiced for a few days, and then the other day he did not do a lot. He was limited he didn't see him in team drills, and then today he was not out there. So Quinn said it's basically a load management situation. This is an NBA type thing where it's load management. It's coming off that left foot surgery in May, and Quinn said there are going to be some days where he does a lot, and then the next day, not much at all. So this is going to be kind of up and down like this for a couple weeks to get him ready for the season. So you have to hope for their sake that this does not become a lingering issue during the season. I don't know that it will be. I'm not a doctor. I mean, the other foot seems fine, but it is certainly a precaution, if nothing, at the very least. And then Andrew Wiley was not out there today again, right tackle, told me that he's still dealing with some of that right that tightness, but he also felt pretty confident that he would be able to go in the joint practice and then the preseason game against the Jets. So anyway, so that's the move. I'm going to get more into the Christian Holmes situation because it's another former draft pick that has been cut. And it just kind of explains why this team in year 4 under Rivera was really not able to ascend, because they simply did not add enough good young talent. And this is more evidence of that. But I'll get into some of that on Tuesdays, because I have a lot of, on Monday's podcast, when I also am going to have Benjamin St. Juste on talking for about 5 minutes about the change in the secondary and why they feel optimistic that it's going to be a lot different this season. Listen, don't be surprised if they have to go out and get a right tackle as well, because you had Alex Akimbulu went down today, unspecified leg injury. We just saw him go down. He kind of did some stuff on the side, and then that was it. Andrew, again, I explained about Wiley. They had to have Mason Brooks was filling in at right tackle against a second group. That's not an ideal situation for that second group. He is a backup guard who may or may not make the roster. Now you have him working with the twos at right tackle. Tough spot, not the ideal spot for anybody. And, again, he's better suited inside. And so I wouldn't be shocked if they brought someone in. I don't know that for sure. They actually did work out 2 punters today. Now, take a deep breath. Tress Way is okay. This was in case of emergency. This is not related to last year where Tress Way was dealing with some back tightness or whatever. It's just work guys out in case of emergency. Also, the other part, and this goes back to the preparation. They have not seen a right-footed kicker in camp because Way is left-footed. They're going to see a right-footed kicker in New York. So this gave some of the returners a chance to work with 2 right-footed punters catching balls after practice. So that was part of the purpose too, but some of it is bring some guys in. You never know when you may need them. This is what teams do. When you bring guys in, it's not always about like what position do you need right now. It's about that, but it's also about what you may need in the future, because again, you never know when something becomes a need. So you need to be prepared. So you're always bringing guys in at various positions just in case. And it looks like I'm going to get started. We're going to have a downpour here in a minute. So you may hear some rain. I'm covered by a tent, but we'll see what happens here, folks. Oh, the other thing with the Stallworth thing too, part of that is also John Allen. And I think they're going to want to, he's going into his 8th year. They're going to want to rest him a little bit at times. And this gives you another camp body in there to go with them. And, the other thing I wonder about that D-line too, at some point, what becomes of guys like Mathis and Ridgeway? How much do they fit what they want to do with this system? And, I with Ridgeway, I think he's okay. I think with Mathis, you need to show stuff. That's not what I'm hearing necessarily. It's just what you're seeing, right? So we'll see what happens with those guys. For the entire month of August, the Adventure Park at Sandy Spring is offering multiple ways to save on climbing and zip lining and 50% off axe throwing. There are only a few Sundays left without football, so it's time to get that last summer adventure on the schedule. There's no better place to spend the last few days and nights of the summer with friends and family. Don't just take our word for it. The Adventure Park at Sandy Spring was named the #1 aerial adventure park in North America by USA Today. Anytime you're thinking about reaching new heights, make sure you know before you go. The Adventure Park at Sandy Spring is the only ACCT accredited park in Maryland or Virginia. So there you have it, folks. For the rest of the summer, you can get the best climbing, zip lining, and axe throwing in the country, up to 50% off right here in the DMV. Reserve your adventure today at www.theadventurepark.com/Kime. Today was another day where Daniels worked again with the starters. He's the first guy out there in the 11-on-11 work. Mariota will sometimes take some snaps with the first group ahead of him, but in the 11-on-11 work, he's been the first guy going in there, and that's been for a few practices in a row. Again, you can see where this is headed. I mean, I know, like Daniel said, he still feels that he has a ways to go. Maybe, and it's certainly to get where he wants to be. Yes, of course. They've only had, 9 practices? he's not close to being finished, right? So of course he's got a ways to go, but is he progressing at the right pace? And the answer is yes. You can start to see some of the rhythm and the synchronicity with some of the receivers, developing more chemistry and getting more on the quote unquote same page. Like that same page is something that hasn't always happened here, but I think it's starting to happen. And you've seen some evidence in the throws. What they also like with Daniels is, you talk to some of the veterans, like I was talking to Nick Allegretti, they like that he doesn't come in here with any errors, that he's here to work. He's not here to assume anything. He's not here acting like he's above something, as I said earlier. And I think that goes a long way. Like, you don't want to say that, oh, it's all about impressing the veterans or winning them over. But in some ways it is, because these guys are very important to this roster, right? And if you came in here a certain way, I think it would rub them a certain way. When you come in here this way, you win them over. They want to follow you. They want to play for you, et cetera. And so, like, that's been a really, again, I keep saying, like, that's one of the better things that we've seen with him, in addition to the work and all that. And you see the talent. But the other part of that too, with at playing quarterback from pocket, does a good job of getting through his reads. And there were a couple plays that stand out. But before I get to those, like, one of the things that Daniels is big on is just competition. Like, and this is what Quinn's whole mantra is in training camp, is the competition. So I think he's embraced that, and it's why I like that he's playing, and it's why I like how they're bringing him along. He's gotten a lot of reps with these starters, but I think he's done a nice job coming along with them, or bringing them, developing with them, and that's a good thing. I think I like the decision making too by Daniels. I think you see that it's not always about the completion. There are a couple of times today where it was a play action, and he wants a deep ball to De'Ami Brown, but Emmanuel Forbes and Percy Butler took it away. Not open. It's a two-man route. And it was a valve coming down the right side, not open, had no choice but to just throw the ball away deep, run, or get out of bounds. Actually, on that play, he ran because there was nothing there. And that's what you can do. That's what one of his special skill sets is. You can run. Another time, see him throw it out of bounds. Nothing's there. Throw just deep out of bounds. And he even talked about that after practice, about how when he was at Arizona State, Herm Edwards kind of hammered in his head, take care of the ball. If you want to play in the NFL, you've got to take care of the ball. I think that's one thing he's been doing in camp. I think I've seen like one pick, and it was a ball off someone's hands. So I think that's been a good thing for him for sure. Yeah. And I think that's been good. You see the arm talent, and that's where, and again, I always stress, arm talent is not necessarily arm strength. Arm talent is, how quickly your quick release, how quickly are you getting the ball out when you see the guy open. And that's what I've always been impressed by with him. There's another play today where he's looking to the left, comes back to the right, sees Davion Davis, he's looking for another option, sees Davis when I say break open, he really isn't that open, but in NFL terms, he's open. There was no hesitation. It's boom, boom. See it, deliver. It's not see, think, deliver. It's see, deliver. And that's what he's done. I've seen that a few times with him. You see, like, the other part of that is he can throw. He's like a pitcher who has multiple pitches. You got the fastball, curveball, slider, whatever, change up. He's got all of that. And I think we've seen that. And that's not always true. There were some quarterbacks in this draft where they'd be like, he's just got one speed. He's got a fastball. He doesn't have the changeup. You need the changeup. And we've seen that help him. But when he needs to get that fastball in there, he's able to get that in there. And is it the most powerful arm? No, but you can see it's definitely a good arm, and you can see the zip on the ball is a little bit different. You see when he needs to layer it, he can do that. You can see, so the accuracy, you see that. So I think that's something else that's jumped out. Arm strength does not make you a good quarterback. Arm talent does. They worked a lot on the screen game today, running backs, receivers, tight ends. Liked one they had to Brian Robinson on the right side, set up very well, had multiple blockers out front. Had another screen to Austin Eckler, where you had Ben Sinnott coming out, blocking over there. He gets Quan Martin. Would have been a really nice gain on that play. So nice job setting up some of those screens. We can't get into too many details on what it looked like, but just suffice to say, good screen setups. And I think that's going to be a big deal. The thing I wonder about with those screens, though, is when you have with some of these linemen, are they going to fit how they need to play with those? Can they get out in space and block those? I do think the interior guys can do a pretty good job with that. I saw Biotish downfield. I think it was on the Eckler one where he's blocking downfield on that. I don't know about guys like Trent Scott, Cornelius Lucas in those situations. That's not necessarily their strength. Coleman, I think he'll be good with that. He's good at, good footwork, good speed, good athlete. But the other ones, and I don't know if Scott makes the roster, and we haven't seen Wiley in this screen game a whole lot because he's missed a lot of time with that tightness. But I think that's something to always pay attention to when the preseason comes. Like, watch how they're getting out in space. Are they getting out? And there were times a couple of years ago, even like you say, like that's a good screen, but you don't have the guys who can get out there and block it. So therefore, it doesn't work. So, but I think I think the other thing that helps is when you have a quarterback who gets the timing of it right, whether it's Daniels or, a veteran, whatever quarterback it is, not necessarily here, but in general, quarterback can, you sell it right, you operate it right, you can really kind of help the screen game in that fashion.
Hey, it's Bram Weinstein here, voice of the Commanders, and of course, frequent guest of this podcast, The John Keim Report. I wanted to let you all know that my show, which airs at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. on ESPN 630, is now exclusively produced by Empire Media, my company, and is going to be distributed through our network. So I'm asking you, please, if you subscribe to this show and love this show, give mine a try as well. Subscribe to the Bram Weinstein Show wherever you get your podcasts, and many of the shows and many of the elements that are in the show will be available on the Empire Media YouTube channel. We're going to talk a ton of Commanders and other DC sports. Check it out.
The other play that actually I think one of Daniels' best plays today was against a cover 2 look, shows really good patience. And I think it was also just a good play all around for the offense, because it was, Jahan Dotson. I think he was coming across. I can't remember if he was coming across or if he's on that side already, but somebody threatens the corner, Mike Davis underneath. Dotson then runs to the right depth. So you got the cornerbacks threatened, and Dotson was able to hold the safety, breaks out, and the safety's Percy Butler. There's a nice gap there. Daniels on time, in rhythm, gets the ball, layers a nice throw to Dotson, but it was a good route, a good decision, good timing, and as they say, on the same page. If you're not watching me, I'm doing little air quotes because I don't, same page, whatever, but it is a term that they use, and it is very accurate on that particular throw. So it's a good throw, good route, and I think you're starting to see a little bit more of that quote unquote same page. Then another time, actually, Daniels actually was able to show his speed today. They did have a keeper around the left side, a really nice wall. Again, we can't tell you all about like all the formations, et cetera, but I can tell you just a good wall around the left side, and he's taken off down the field. Now, he finishes it in the end zone. I don't know if they would have gotten there in a game, but he certainly did that. Brandon Coleman was the one offensive lineman who ran down there to slap 5 with him when he emerged, when he came back out of the end zone. But anyways, regardless, nice wall, would have been a really good run. Whether he would have scored or not, who knows? There are times at LSU you're like, oh, they're going to get him, and there's like, boom, he's gone. So who knows? But it was a really good wall setup. And then there was one time he has a nice little, it was a swing pass to Brian Robinson, a really nice one-handed grab with his left hand. Colson Yankoff, he had a nice catch over the middle today. Bryson Tremaine back of the end zone. This is where that 6'4" frame comes in handy, because just back of the end zone, and Marcus Meredith throws a nice ball to the corner, gets it up there enough where a guy who's 6'4" can get it. That's one of the advantages for Tremaine. That 6'4" frame, like they don't have that kind of a size at receiver. And so like, how much will that help him? Now, it takes more than just height in the red zone. It definitely does. You have to be able to get open first and foremost, but it's certainly good to have that. And they don't have anybody like that. And so I think that's one of the things he has advantage of. Like, I think he and Mitchell Tinsley both can offer a similar level of play. And Tinsley's made some nice catches. I think they both could probably help on special teams, but I think that size, if you're looking for, if it comes down to those two, if Tremaine makes it, I wouldn't be surprised if that size is a factor. I don't know if either one will make it, but you're just looking at things for right now down the road. All right, one-on-ones. Today was more one-on-one days. I was able to watch more of the receivers, mostly them. And I don't need to go in great detailing because I have some special team stuff I want to discuss too. But I liked how Mike Samerstill mirrored against Tinsley. takes the route away, defends the pass. Noah Igbogeni, really good feel with his eyes against Dotson. Doesn't get open on that one. You have Tremaine with the cross. He crossed up. Chigozie Anuzium, the rookie undrafted corner, cuts out. Anuzium bites on it, cuts back inside, wide open. Good route by Tremaine. So nice job by him. AJ Woods, cornerback, had a really good recovery against Byron Pringle. Pringle gets to the back of the end zone. I wouldn't say he's open enough. Like, the ball is there. He has his hands on the ball, but Woods makes a nice recovery, and with his eyes gets his eyes on him, gets his hands in there, was able to knock the ball away. So good job by him. Tariq Castro-Fields had a couple nice plays, but also gets kind of handsy at times, and he's going to have to watch that. There were a couple times where he was flagged for that today. James Pierre, really nice job with his on the jam against Zacchaeus. So just a really good jam with his right hand into Zacchaeus's left shoulder. Because of that, he's able to take an inside route away, just jumps him inside, gets on his inside hip, and the ball comes in there, able to knock it away. Really good job by Pierre on that one. Coaches were pretty ecstatic after that play as well. Then you had Tyler Owens, my guy at the safety, arms extended against Kaz Allen, defends the slant really well. You had Benjamin St. Juste defending a slant to McLaurin. You saw Mike Samuelson tries to jam Mitch Tinsley with his left hand and left shoulder, almost misses the shoulder, gets him, just kind of nips him, but not enough to really prevent it. Not a whiff, but didn't get him full. However, really good feet, really good recovery, defends it inside. So nice recovery by Samuelson after a difficult jam. If you do that against a better target, going to be some problems. And I liked Emmanuel Forbes' eyes against De'Ami Brown on a route, just kept his eyes on him, reads it really well, get to the end zone. Now you hear the thunder. Gets to the end zone, and Forbes turns back, bats the ball away. Again, coaches were very, very happy with that one. Jamin Davis, some first-team reps at left defensive end. Didn't see a whole lot. Still needs to work on his get-off to make him really more dangerous. We'll see where that goes. What you see with him is when he's able to use his lateral speed to chase down a play, that's where he excels right now. But we saw that even as a linebacker, when he runs some stunts from linebacker, that's what he would do. But you need to see that get off the line before you start to say, like, that's going to be his new home. I like how Julian Good-Jones can anchor. I've seen him at guard, seen him at center. I think he does a nice job with that. Don't know where he's going to fit on this group, but that's one thing that's jumped out. Saw in another situation, I can't remember if it was 7-on-7, 11-11, Igbogeni against Luke McCaffrey, deep ball, grabbing the jersey, flag. Good job on McCaffrey on the route. And then I saw one match I want to watch matchup was Percy Butler against Austin Eckler in the slot. Does a really nice job, very patient there. Eckler tries a little whip route, cut inside, cut back, start inside, cut back out. But Butler defends it very well and took that away. So he had to go somewhere else. Also saw Eckler helping out Mason Brooks at tackle when he was playing there against Frankie Louvu, and it was, you have to help with Louvu, and he did a nice job there. So anyway, now special teams, just a few things on special teams, because like they were working on some kick return stuff, and you see the first two guys out there, Kaz Allen and Davion Davis. You had Igbogeni fielding a grounder one time, kind of a rough field. That's something they're going to have to pay attention to. That's something that Quinn said they're going to see, like who can play basically shortstop and center field. On that one, that was a shortstop play. Didn't quite get it in there. Liked how Forbes hit the middle on Pringle hit the middle on one of his runs. Nice run. I saw Samuelson bounce it to the left, just start up, cut back to the middle to the left, and nice job. But also on the play, there was a bouncer to him, reaches back a little bit, corrals it, and gets going. So nice job on a tricky bounce and a good recovery and a good return by him. Then also, last thing I'm going to talk about is working against the gunners. So watching the double teams against the gunners, because you want to see who competes as those gunners, right? Those gunner spots, and who's going to compete on those sides of the ball. So first time it was 2 versus 1. So you got 2 guys trying to block the gunner. It's first time Samuelson splits. I can't remember who the receiver was, and also Tyler Owen, one of the backup receiver. I'm drawing a blank, but Tyler Owens was there as well. Just a really good job, kind of starts left, cuts right back between them. They did not do a good job handling that at all. They didn't pinch him at all, didn't get him out of bounds. You want to kind of force him out a little bit and at least, pinch that hole to that way it's hard to get through there, gets through there really well. Then you had Nick Weitzel and Samerstill against Quan Martin, and Martin tries to go wide. Whiteside does a really good job of forcing him out, so he tries to cut back, and Samerstill knocks him, pushes him to the ground. You can tell that Martin was frustrated. He gets up and he had the coach say, "You got to finish it, get up there." So I don't think he was too happy. It wasn't the best of reps. Like, I'm a big Martin guy. I think he's going to do well from scrimmage, but that was a rep where I think it was a really good job by both Nick Whiteside and Mike Samerstill. So anyway, folks, that's it for me. By the way, on Tuesday, another live stream at 2:00 Eastern time. I'm going to try it again. We did it last week. And if you can make it, that's great. It'll be up on the site you can go live on the site, or you can go to the site after the live stream if you're not able to make it. It'll be on the homepage. So if you're not joining us for the live stream, you can still check it out because it's still going to be a practice report. Anyways, I'll be back on Monday with another episode. I'm going to play a little interview I had with Benjamin St. Just and a few other nuggets I have for you. So I'll talk to you next time.